Good evening. My name is Danielle, and I'm a survivor of domestic violence. I apologize that I'm not here with you this evening as you celebrate the Diva's dance. I so wanted to be able to be here, but my schedule just didn't allow for it. I also feel so strongly about the work that Dove does that I wanted to take the time to share my story with you and hope that I can press upon you that the work that Dove does is so instrumental in survivors and helping them move forward in their lives as it did for me. I always have to take a deep breath after I'm introduced as a survivor or a victim. I still just can't believe that we're talking about me and that this has happened to me and this is my life now. But on April 4th, 2013, my life changed forever as my husband attacked me in our home. Prior to being attacked, I was in marriage counseling for about 6 years. I had had issues with my husband stalking me. There were keyloggers in my house, cameras in my bedroom, taps on my phone, and my wireless internet also tapped. But at the time, I didn't consider myself a victim, even though I knew that I was being stalked. Yes, I was definitely in an unhappy marriage, and I didn't know how to get out. We had 4 children together, a big house. We were approaching our 20th year anniversary. We both had great careers. My husband was with Homeland Security in the military, and I was the elected town clerk in our hometown. Big life, and I didn't know how to walk away from this life. 6 months before that, on September 9th in 2012, I woke up that morning and I knew that my husband had drugged and raped me. At that time, I asked for a separation. Despite the lack of him hitting me before that night, I had a sense that I needed to take this slow, and so I didn't still walk away because I still didn't consider myself a victim. On March 7th, about 6 months later, post our separation, I finally did ask for the divorce. That night, I was very nervous. I put together what I now know is a safety plan on my own. My kids, I had had them leave the house. I had bags packed for them. I had a neighbor who I had called and said, if my front porch light goes on tonight, I need you to call the police. I had a girlfriend that my phone was in my pocket, and I had said to her, again, if you get any messages at all from me, please call the police. Don't come over. But I knew deep down that something potentially could happen. On that night, I told him I wanted a divorce, and nothing happened. And then he was perfect for the next 4 weeks. I really felt like he was going to give me the divorce. And then on the morning of April 4th, just 4 weeks after I had asked for the divorce, my husband walked into our bedroom. He came in, he had a little joy and bounce in his step this morning, and he said he had been to a chiropractor the day before, and that he had had the best night's sleep he had had in a long time. He said, listen, you're under the same stress that I am. Come sit at the end of the bed. I want to show you the relaxation technique. He asked me to look at the picture on the wall and take 10 deep breaths. And I did. On the third set of those breaths, my husband went and snapped my neck. I lunged forward on the bed, and at that moment, I was thinking, well, that was a pretty crappy relaxation technique. I still didn't know that I was a victim until his body followed me on the bed, and we both landed on the bed, and we began to struggle. I realized I was about to fight for my life. All the prep that I had done and that safety plan just 4 weeks before did matter, and now I was going to fight for my life. I'm sorry. I have to pause here to highlight the years of emotional abuse and what the difference that makes in somebody's life. In just 4 weeks, I went from a safety plan to sitting on the end of the bed and had no idea that I was in danger at that time. Yet 4 weeks before that, I was in danger and I knew it. The emotional abuse all that time, he had led me to believe that I didn't know what I was talking about, and his reaction on the night that I asked for the divorce substantiated that. And I still didn't believe in myself at that time. And again, it wasn't until my body hit the bed and I started to fight that I realized that I was in danger and I was a victim. So I use this phrase a lot. that I'm never going to sit on the end of the bed again. It's a personal phrase that my children know, that I know, my friends know, and it's about trusting my own instinct. And I do. I trust my own instincts now. After the struggle that seemed to last forever, he proceeded to strangle me. During the attack, just before the second time that I passed out, there was a moment that I knew that I was about to die. Every part of me knew. I felt the blood vessels in my eyes and in my tongue pop. And I stopped fighting, and I started to pray. My prayer at that time, because I knew that I was about to die, was not to be saved, was that I would die quickly and that the pain would end. And obviously the last thoughts of my children at that time. I did wake up from that. I don't know how, but I did. After being held at the home for about another hour and a half, my husband proceeded to rape me on the stairs before letting me leave the home. I'll tell you a little bit about my injuries. My injuries were so severe that my tongue was 3 times the size a normal tongue is. I couldn't speak. I couldn't taste for 6 weeks. Nothing for 6 weeks. You couldn't see the whites of my eyes for at least 2 weeks, and then they were yellow for an additional 2 weeks. I was told by countless DAs, police officers, doctors in the multiple hospitals that I was in, that they had never seen the signs of strangulation so severe on anyone who was still alive. Everything that I knew to be true in my life changed forever on this day. My safety, my financial security, and my understanding of trust and love. Everything that my children knew. Their entire foundation was cracked. Every hope and dream that I had had was ripped out of my life on this one day. With that said, I consider myself very lucky. I am very lucky to be alive. And that's how I choose to view my situation. As I'm sitting here taping this at the beginning of April, tomorrow is what I call my live-iversary. It's 4 years from the day that I was attacked in my home. And although the first year, every day, I wondered why I was alive, now I celebrate that. And I celebrate it as the fortune that I am still alive and here to be able to raise my children and move my family forward. Abuse comes in such a variety of ways and different forms. Oftentimes, victims of emotional or domestic sexual abuse can't see how toxic their relationship is while they're in it. Dove's counseling services help victims. They help victims like myself and gave me the tools that I needed so that I could detox from the emotional abuse that the years my husband had taken a toll on me. My husband had mastered the art of victim blame and victim denial, and he continued this pattern in the days following the attack. All the way through the trial, all the way through the parole hearings, he continued to put the blame on me and deny any part of what he had done. His family, members of the community, and sadly, even my oldest son, continue to believe his lies over my truths. In my case, my husband was held without bail from the day that I was attacked until through his trial and his sentencing, where he was found guilty of aggravated assault and battery. I cannot even imagine what it is like for a victim who has only her word to describe her truth and not the pictures that I have of myself. I can tell you that victims want to be believed. More than anything, they need to be believed. Over the past 4 years, I have come to know that awareness of domestic violence goes way beyond the staggering numbers and statistics that you hear about for domestic violence. Personally, I believe that awareness requires an understanding socially in society of the characteristics of an abuser. No one should have to live in fear, and certainly victims would find it much easier to speak up if they felt that they would be believed. Dove's services have been my lifeline since the day I was attacked. They provide essential support every step of the way, from in the courthouse, standing next to me with an advocate, to countless counseling appointments for both myself and for my children. They have taught me how to move from a victim to a survivor. Dove also provides invaluable assistance with safety planning, a term I know all too well. I have a plan. I have a safety plan that Dove services have helped me. I could disappear today. I can bet most people in the audience don't have a bag packed somewhere that has everything that they would need if they had to disappear in an hour. I have a car. I have a phone. I have money. I know what states have good domestic violence laws. All of that I learned in safety planning through services that Dove provides. Prior to 2013, I had limited knowledge of Dove. Now, 4 years later, I can tell you that I have no idea how I would have made it through the most difficult time of my life without the services that they provide. Through the ongoing support of people like you in the audience and victim agencies like Dove, I have been able to accept my life as a survivor, without letting it define who I am. And I'm so incredibly grateful for Dove and the services that they provide. I ask you to think down deep, reach down deep, and provide what you can so that they can keep doing the great work that they do for all of their clients and for people just like me. Thanks for having me tonight. Enjoy.